Welcome to the weather forecast on the CIA TV channel. Dear friends, in today's forecast, we're looking at some of the areas of heavy rain that we've been tracking together overnight. Some near Trinidad and Tobago, parts of northeastern Venezuela. We're looking at activity. As expected, activity is picking up, with increased rain and storm potential, some of the Bahamas. Back to Cuba, still near the Cayman Islands and Bays. Plus, to the north, we're looking at this area in Texas right now with some potential for flooding. And then we're going to be back in the Bahamas and off the coast of Florida and Georgia. You're going to see more rain and storms. Some of us are in a really active phase. Now, as we're moving into the tropical Atlantic, we're in the Caribbean. The next larger tropical wave will be moving out by the time we get there tonight and tomorrow. That wave looks like it's going to develop. The US model is that this area will eventually become a tropical storm. So, as for where it's going, we'll have to wait and see. I'm hoping it'll curve out earlier. Sometimes when things develop really fast, they're a little more likely to curve out. But then there's more activity. So it's in control. So we'll see if it goes around it or if it veers a little west. But overall, the high pressure and the temporary control will push it west for a few days. We're in the Caribbean. Now, as we get into the middle of the week, you'll see this area. What's certain is that this area looks like it's going to develop, and that's going to happen as we head into Thursday, safe over the water. This area could encounter dry air and wind shear over our heads, which will reduce the storm's peak. So even if it develops and gets a little closer, it could eventually weaken. With that, we'll be monitoring this. The thing is, September is going to be more active, but that makes sense because we're heading into the peak of hurricane season. So, we're in the Caribbean, the Gulf. You can see this is a tropical depression forming. Current water temperatures in the eastern Caribbean. We're in the 30s, up to 31 degrees in some places. Much of the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico are really unaffected, at least in the short term. So that's a concern. If anything moves closer to land, it could really strengthen. But we'll be monitoring that together. So, we're in the Caribbean, just going out over time here. You can see the time frame for the African coast here, looking at Cabo Verde. Particularly the southern islands. We're going to see increased flooding potential as this area develops. Monday night, Monday into Tuesday. Some of that flooding could really start to come into play with some of that rain or flooding potential, Tuesday into Wednesday, I should say. You see, this is a developing area. So there are a couple of areas to watch very soon. The first one is off the coast of Africa. Again, we're in the Caribbean and you can see this developing quite quickly when we look at the winds. Kilometer per hour and mph at sea there. But this is on Tuesday. So Cabo Verde, gusty winds, flooding potential. And then as this develops on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, we'll see it strengthen midweek. But then it could run into that kind of hostile environment, which is good, which is going to be drier air. So we'll see, but you see, even by Friday, it's still just over the Atlantic. In the short term, there's going to be some rain and storms, especially in the north, even the central Bahamas, which may or may not affect the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba, but if they do, they could be very strong. Look for some moisture this morning and last night in Trinidad and may or may not affect Antigua, Barbuda, St. Martin, Dominica. Some passing showers, some heavy rain still in some areas of Central America. As we head into tomorrow, the area is still a little more active. Areas of the Bahamas down to Cuba could see some showers and storms. The Cayman Islands and Jamaica again have heavy rain. Jamaica, some places are still too dry. Now, looking north, I mentioned Texas is tracking some flooding. There's an area moving across Atlantic Canada. Hopefully some rain will greet you. Keep an eye out near Bermuda. A little rain and then the southern United States is very active, especially the southeast United States. Keep an eye on that as we head into tonight. Some areas of heavy rain in Texas that could lead to rapid runoff, some swollen rivers. And then again, you'll see the southeast United States coast very active. Some heavy rain in spots from the Bahamas back into Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, tracking another area that's moving toward Bermuda. Another possibility is rain on Sunday as we head into Newfoundland. And then as we move into next week, you'll see on Monday. Still very active along the southern United States with more areas of rain and storms. Oceans, no, I'll show you the totals in a second. Oceans aren't too terrible. North Texas, west, east. Some areas of heavy rain. We'll see some totals that could be around 4 to 6 inches. And that's why I mentioned some dangerous rivers and some potential runoff from today into tonight. Even into tomorrow, depending on how these storms shape up. And here's some active weather for us right across the Bahamas moving northward, where some of those totals will push 75 millimeters of rain or 3 inches of rain. That includes Cuba for some thunderstorms. Storms with or without in the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti and the Dominican Republic. In that model, some of us are dry, but if we do get storms, they could bring us a quick 75 millimeters of rain and track some lightning or sliding. Puerto Rico, the British Virgin Islands, not as much. St. Bart's, St. Croix, Tortola and Agata. But still watch out for the chance of rain. St. Kitts and Nevis, a passing shower. If we get a few passing showers, we could see 10 to 25 millimeters of rain. Especially in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad could have a 3-day total of about 50 millimeters. Guyana, parts of Venezuela, really inland areas, the chance of rain is higher. And then again, looking at Costa Rica and Panama, the Caribbean. Costa Rica is actually on both sides, and then moving closer to Panama, some higher rainfall totals, and then elsewhere, El Salvador, looking at some areas of flood risk. Scattered rain back across the Bays. Mexico City is active, and there's a pattern of increasing rain in the opposite direction towards Texas, and you can even see coastal areas of South Carolina. Georgia, moving towards Florida where there's a chance of 5 to 10 centimeters of rain. So, Jamaica, some dry, others stormy. We're looking at a 50% chance today, 40% tomorrow and 50% on Monday. There are still some scattered areas of rain, especially where I saw rain overnight and this morning near Cuba. Some of it will try to spill back into the Cayman Islands. So we'll have a chance of showers and storms. In Trinidad and Tobago, rain has been active since last night. Trinidad in particular, the chance of rain is 60%, at least the first half of today. I'll keep an eye on your comments. Barbados, 30% chance of showers today, tomorrow into Monday, and a 30% chance of scattered showers over the next 2 days in St. Lucia. About a 50% chance of rain today in Grenada. The chance of showers drops to about 40% tomorrow. Scattered showers possible in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A few more southern islands are visible. Martinica has a 30% chance of rain today and tomorrow. We'll continue to see scattered showers and possibly from Dominica down to Guadeloupe throughout the weekend and into next week. Antigua and Barbuda. And across the southeast, you can really see the remnants of the cold front. This is what's causing a big blast of cold air to move into areas like the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast. But for those along the Gulf Coast, and into the southeast, we're dealing with a steady stream of showers and thunderstorms. There's even a chance for significant flooding from North Texas all the way down to southern Louisiana this afternoon and evening. Back in the southwest, high pressure is dominating the 4 northern states, continuing to draw moisture from the Pacific, which means the monsoon season is basically here across the 4 northern states. The biggest issue over the next few weeks is the cold weather that's continuing to dominate much of the lower 48 states. But even stronger cold fronts are coming, potentially bringing even more record low temperatures. So let's start with what's going on right now in our mean winds and jet stream. We have a very strong northwesterly flow that's coming out of Canada. That's allowing for cold weather to basically spill over from Canada into the lower 48 states. There's a big low pressure system right now over northernmost New England and Canada. And high pressure is right now over parts of western Texas and southeastern New Mexico. And as we move into September, things get a lot more interesting. That's because we're going to continue to see northwesterly flow coming straight out of Canada. And we have a trough that's going to continue to move northeast. Back in Canada, we have another low pressure system that's getting ready to come down into the lower 48 states, which is going to bring even more intense cold weather to areas like the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. If this were winter, it would almost certainly be a winter storm and some very cold weather. So you can only expect very little when you have a cold front like this, but we will almost certainly see very cold temperatures. We could see temperatures in the 30s to 40s across parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin, making this one of the coldest timeframes we have seen in the last few months for some of these areas. As we approach the weekend, this low pressure system will grow in size. Very cold weather will spread down into the Ohio Valley. It could even spread down into the southeast. There could be some isolated severe weather associated with this return to the Ohio Valley in the middle and late week. The other thing to watch for on the back of this low pressure system is that we could see some isolated snowfall in northern Minnesota. Additionally, there could be some tornadoes returning to the Great Lakes during the first week of September as a large amount of cold air sits atop very warm water temperatures. But as we head into early next week, we're going to see a lot more intensity on Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to start to see some very cold weather coming in areas like the Midwest and the Ohio Valley on Wednesday and Thursday next week. Temperatures are expected to drop into the low 30s to 40s. Highs may not even get out to 50s to 60s in many of these areas, giving you a sense of fall. And finally, as we head into the weekend, we're going to see another strong cold front for parts of the Midwest and across the Great Lakes, and this cold front could last for a few days. It's going to start as early as Tuesday and Wednesday, and it could last through Sunday and Monday next week, so be prepared for some very cold weather here across the United States. Here's what we're expecting for the next few days. Thank you for watching the news on CIA TV channel.